Hey guys, this is Coach Adrian, and today we have another puzzle blitz on chesskid.com. So if you haven't already seen my video from last time, then basically I went through each and every single puzzle, and we're going through the process, and we're going at a very fast pace. And today we're going to be doing the same exact thing. So here we just look at the evaluation on the board, and I'm the exchange down. Oh no, I'm down a piece here. I'm down a bishop, same amount of pawns. So I'm just down a bishop, so I'm going for the king's throat. So I'm definitely looking at my checks. I have queen takes g7, queen h7, queen h8 check. All of these moves seem kind of silly because these two are sacrifices, and queen takes g7 is met with rook takes g7 or king takes g7, and then there's no follow-up. But I also have rook to d8, so that looks really juicy. That looks really good. After rook d8, then the rook has to block, and then I play this rook down to f8, and that ultimately leads to mate, because after queen takes f8, rook takes f8, that'll be checkmate. So if rook to d8, queen to f8, then that's pretty silly too. We use this rook to take on f8, and that's going to lead to mate as well, because after rook d8, queen f8, rook takes f8, rook takes f8, rook takes f8, that will be checkmate. Alright, so let's see which one our opponent goes to. Alright, solved. Alright, so it doesn't even choose one. They're both bad, that's why. Alright, white to move in this position. Go ahead and pause your video, evaluate this position first. Seems like there's a lot of pieces on the board. Alright, so queen, queen. We have four minor pieces, two rooks. This is looking like the beginning of a middle game. I'm actually down a pawn here. The d6 pawn is the extra one for Team Black. But after castling, doing something normal, doing something in zombie mode, we can see that, yeah, this isn't too good, because black has a hanging piece. So pause the video, see if you can find it. All right, hopefully you found bishop takes f5. That's just a free piece. All right, black to move. Pause the video, evaluate the position. All right, so immediately I want to recapture here, and just evaluating the position. If bishop takes d4, if you didn't evaluate, you'd be like, oh, just capture here and I should have a good game. That's not necessarily the case, because then everything will be equal, and then, yeah, I'm not too sure that this really does anything, or it might, because I'm looking at first our checks, which is queen takes f2, but after king takes f2, bishop takes d4 check, king moves back, and then I can play bishop takes b2, but then I lost my queen. So why not just play this anyway? And this is the second most forceful move in chess, which is a checkmate threat. So after bishop takes d4, I'm threatening queen takes f2 checkmate. And after he blocks, then I can go in for bishop takes b2 and cash in. So this is just an equal position, but then after bishop takes d4, this is complete loss for white. Yeah. Alright, so black to move. Looks like the material is even. Alright, so let's look at our checks. There's queen to g1, that's silly. Queen to h1, that's silly too, because the king can capture on both of those squares. So don't want to play that. I also have this check, knight to b4 check, but that's silly as well, because then the queen will capture on b4. Alright, so now I go to captures. I have this queen takes, and that's pretty much it for black. It seems trivial here. I could just take. And then my opponent can't really do anything. Okay, so he can't take anything else. Okay, so that's the answer. Alright, white to move in this position. Go ahead and pause the video and see if you can find it. Alright, so if you didn't evaluate the position, shame on you. You should always evaluate the position. I don't have to say it. You have to do it. So if we evaluate this, it's rook for rook, 2 minor pieces versus 3 minor pieces. Are we going for material? Probably not. Another thing that you'll notice based off of your evaluation is that this knight is attacking the rook. That's not good. That means that's probably going to be a rook move. So already I'm finding details about this position that I wouldn't otherwise know if I didn't evaluate the position. So let's look at all of our checks. There's actually only one check here, so it makes the calculation pretty simple, cut and dry. So if I play rook to c8 check, the king has to go to b7. Do I have any follow-up checks after that? Yes, I do. I have knight to d6 check, mate, because the king cannot go to a6, because again, if you're evaluating the position, the bishop on f1 is controlling the a6 square. So this square right here. And this knight is going to go to d6, control the b7 and c8 square, which is ultimately going to help out my rook by defending it and attacking the king. So knight to d6. Pause your video if you do not see this move here. See, this is checkmate. Next. Alright, so it is black to move in this position. Let's see what you can come up with. Alright, so in this position, this one's very easy. So we look at our checks. The evaluation, by the way, is equal. But if we look at our checks, we have rook to d2. That's silly because the bishop and king can capture. So I start looking at maybe my other captures. This is silly too. And then now we go down all the way down to attack. So we want to create threats. And we start looking at our big major pieces and see what we can attack. And you want to start looking at your opponent's pieces that have maybe hanging pieces. If they have hanging pieces, you want to see if you can attack both of them at the same time. And in this case, you can with a nice, neat little fork, knight to c4. My opponent responds with rook to b8, and now I just win. Free bishop. Alright, go ahead and pause your video, evaluate the position, and then calculate. Alright, so let me go ahead and do the evaluation process here. So queen for queen, 2 rooks for a rook and a bishop, and a knight for knight. So it looks like I'm up the exchange, but let's count these pawns. 4, 5, 6, 7, 3, 4, 6. So yeah, I'm up the exchange and a pawn. So this is really good. I should definitely look for trades. So immediately that kind of gives me a game plan. I want to play like knight takes knight. There aren't any checks that I can see right away. No, there's no checks besides this one. Queen to b1, but then rook takes b1. So that seems a bit silly. So now next I go to checkmate threats. So I want to play like queen h5, queen h2 checkmate, but I can't seem to move or shake off this queen on g2. So it looks like I have to look for something else. Let's look at some captures. Knight takes h2, queen takes h2. If knight takes here, then pawn will recapture. E takes d4, and then I can play queen to d5, pin the queen to the king. And it looks like I'm just pushing us into an endgame, which will be extremely favorable. Another hint that gives me why I want to play knight takes knight is because this knight is actually forking the knight and queen. So if I just move the queen out the way, this knight is going to be a goner. So more or less, I'm forced to capture here. And yeah, after he recaptures with either pawn, then I'm going to play queen to d5 and trade off the queens. Once I trade off the queens, boom, I'm already winning in that position. All I had to do was find the consolidating moves. Alright, we have time for one more. Let's see if we can blitz it out. Go ahead and pause your video, see if you can come up with the right answer here. Alright, good. If we evaluate, it's rook for rook, 2 minor pieces versus 2 minor pieces, but he has the bishop pair. And I have 4 pawns. He has 3, 4, 5 pawns. So I would say black is definitely doing better, especially since he has pressure here. So we're really looking for the checks. Rook here, then... So if rook to b8, then the rook can capture there. And if there's no other checks, then yeah, that's no good. Let's look at our captures. I have knight takes here, knight takes on d5. They're both bad because the bishop and pawn can capture. And then I have knight takes a8. Nobody can recapture, and it looks like that's just a free piece. So yeah, I think that just wins. And it's really that simple. Looking at the whole board by just looking and calculating, evaluating, and taking my time, I'm going to find the right move. And knight takes a8 is just the winning move. And I have no problem solving each and every single puzzle in this way. I'm using the same exact steps to solve every single puzzle. So think about that. Think about how strong and how powerful this tool is. All you have to do is every time you approach a position, evaluate it, and then calculate your forcing moves. Alright, and some of you guys are probably thinking, well, what happens if you don't have a good forcing move? There are good positional ways to improve your position. Okay, so you really want to just improve your pieces, develop them, get more safety, maybe gain more space, maybe continue creating threats. Look for your opponent's weaknesses. There's lots of things to do besides just trying to win forcefully like this, because sometimes your opponent will have all of his or her pieces protected. So you really have to do that part first. Evaluate, calculate first. Once you get that out the way, then you can go for positional stuff. All right, and we have videos over that too. So hope to see you guys next time. Thanks.